And without further ado, delighted to welcome back someone who we spoke to last year, and I said to the organisers, with Christina, we were just on a panel. Christina, come up here. Yeah. We were just on a panel, and I said, I wanted one-on-one time with you because we have so much to talk about. So I'm delighted to welcome back Christina Cassotis, who's the Chief Executive at Pittsburgh International Airport. Please. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Nice to see you. We had such a good conversation, and even preparing for this, we chatted for ages, didn't we? So there's loads for us to talk about. Right. So lovely to see you. Let's start with where you are now, because 12 months since we spoke last, you had absolutely huge ambitions. You still do for what you want to do with the airport. And you said to me then, you didn't come to the airport just to change that airport. You came to change the industry. How's that going?
Yeah, well, I think it's an industry that still needs a lot of change. I think it's fairly lazy. And I mean the airport industry in the U.S. So I think we have a lot of opportunity to do better, and we are pushing on a number of fronts. I love listening to Deborah and to Paul. Big hub airports, big ambitions. We're an O&D, and there's a lot that we are managing around being an origin and destination airport, a former hub. We have too much space. It needs to be modernized. We have a lot of runway capacity, but we also have a lot of assets that we're putting to work, and 3 pathways to produce SAF, so we're excited about that.
Yeah, I'll come on to SAF particularly in a sec. I'm interested in that, US airports are lazy, bureaucratic, and behind. I mean, it's quite a damning indictment of
Well, have you been to them recently? They're not fun.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Why? What happened?
Well, I think there's governance structure that's an issue, and that's a big deal. I think that you don't always have as many professionals in the airport industry in the U.S. as you could because of the governance structure where you become a city department. Some cities do really well, some don't. So I think that governance is an issue, and I also think that it just takes a very long time with some of the regulation that we're dealing with in order to get approval for things. So some of us get to move quickly, but I would say not enough.
And you described it to me. You said airlines are sexy, manufacturers are sexy, airports are not sexy.
We need to make them sexy. Yeah, that's right.
Why not? I mean, because it's a place where we will spend a lot of time. It's a place we often don't have a choice but to pass through. There is a huge opportunity there to make them sexier. Why are they not?
Well, I think, first of all, it's usually where you are. That's where your bag gets lost and you're frustrated. That's where the line is too long and you're frustrated. So I think that there's an opportunity for the ecosystem to work together better in order for the airport to return more value to its community and for people to understand that airports are not the airlines. So when I spoke to my team recently and I asked them, how many of you get the question, do you fly for free? Every hand went up. People actually don't know what airports do in the community. So I think we have an opportunity and a responsibility to talk about that because we need more people choosing aviation as a career. Overall, where the manufacturers are struggling with mechanics and the airlines are struggling with some of the workforce issues. So we're looking at this as how can we help the overall ecosystem from an airport perspective. We do a lot around workforce development. We built a child care center on site. We rerouted bus lines. We created a workforce development program to get folks into the construction trades. We'll do the same thing for green energy. So we're taking the lead on that because we're really the place where people can connect with the industry is through the airport. And so I think that there's an opportunity to make the airport industry itself have a higher value in people's mind and understand that it's a key part of the fact that the airlines and the manufacturers we're all in this together.
This is sort of reverse engineering, isn't it? It's not about you thinking as the airport as a place that people get on a plane and go somewhere or arrive into.
No, it's actually, I look at it as the place where people understand the system. It's very hard to think about the system from a passenger perspective if you're only focused on the airline, right? The airport is really where you're going to go and say, that's where you find the people to take care of the problems is what I find. So we are reverse engineering it. We're looking at what is our stakeholder mix and how do we how do we put that to use in a different way at the airport and use the airport as a convener and a facilitator, whether it's for green energy, whether it's for workforce development, sustainability, which I look at, I like what Deborah said, as how do we sustain our workforce, how do we sustain our finances, how do we sustain our, our stakeholder engagement, how do we sustain our environmental footprint, et cetera, or create sustainability around those things. And we think that we have a lot to do with how do we affect the demand and the inputs that affect us as opposed to how are we acted upon. I think there's a difference in a mindset, and I would rather be more proactive in being part of a solution.
And how does that help you tackle some of, particularly, I think, the labour force issues that were brought about by COVID? You lost a lot of people. A lot of people left the industry. How do you, all airports, all airlines lost people. What does that reverse engineering allow you to do? Well,
first of all, in the U.S., we lost fewer people than the rest of the world because the U.S. government made sure we held on to 90% of them through direct help. So but I do think that there are fewer people choosing aviation as a career, and so we're starting in schools. We have the Getting Ready for Takeoff program and the Ready for Takeoff program in local schools. We have our workforce development program to get folks into the building and construction trades, because you cannot build or rehab terminals if you don't have carpenters and iron workers and plumbers. And we found that as we were embarking on our terminal modernization program, which is only less than $2 billion for a lot of people here. That's not a lot. For us, it is. That if you don't have enough iron workers, you can't get the work done, or you're going to have to bring them in, and that's going to cost you more money. So we looked around and said, well, if the economy is going to grow, you're going to need the construction trades. We need them right now, so let's make sure that there's sustainability in that. And we created those programs by working with partners. I mean, we don't run it, but we are using our massive construction site as a big sort of advertisement for why, look at what you can do.
And you're quite honest that you don't have all the answers. I mean, you've gone to industries and gone to trades and said, you know what, come in, tell us what you think you could do here.
Yeah, well, nobody has all the answers, so I'm just one of the ones who admits it, let's be clear. Yes, we do. We work with, so Carnegie Mellon and the University of Pittsburgh are really, Carnegie Mellon in particular, are leaders in AI automation and advanced manufacturing. So we brought them in as strategic partners. We're working with them very closely, and we work with our whole robotics ecosystem. And instead of going out and saying, can you solve this problem, we bring them into the airport, into our X-Bridge, and say, what can your technology do here? Let's open up a whole new industry for you. And that's actually been incredible. We've worked with 30 companies so far, and we have launched quite a few, and it's helped us look differently at how to put the resources of the community into an industry, and opened up an industry to people who never considered it in the first place. So we're looking at how we can take all of our assets and really return value to the community and return value to the industry. And we think that we are the place to make that happen.
And you're sort of solving problems that maybe you didn't know that you had. And I'm going to ask you here, what do the algae air purifier, Dunkin' Donuts, and flowers have in common at your airport?
I don't know. I don't know how to put all that together. So it looks like a really big set of lava lamps for anybody old enough to remember what those things were. So the algae purifier is in our baggage claim system, and it helps to purify the air and return, oxygenate the air. Something that we tested in the X-Bridge, and all of a sudden they're thinking, let's put this in airports. We also tested with BioFlight, which detects threats, airborne threats, and something that we tested, and now we're looking at very carefully to actually create a mobile unit to help with threat detection. So I don't know what the flowers and Dunkin' Donuts, where are we going with that?
Didn't you have biofuel from Dunkin' Waste?
Oh yeah, but everybody's doing that. I'm more interested in, yes, we do. We are turning our biofuel, we're turning the waste into biofuel, yes, and who isn't? More interested in what we're able to do with all of our acreage in creating production for sustainable aviation fuel on site. Being able to blend it on site because we have tanks that our former hub airline left us, and then because we have a pipeline to the river, being able to barge it up to other airports. That's what's exciting to me.
it strikes me a lot of what you were able to do as well is quite experimental even. It's early. What gives you that capacity, that ability to do it? Because, a lot of organizations, and not just airports, think actually it's about the bottom line. It's about actually delivering this business. It needs to be profitable. It needs to work. Do you have more scope to try stuff, and by definition, stuff that may fail?
No, I think that, no, that's an excuse. At the end of the day, we have a revenue motive. Our bonds for building the new terminal are backed by the airlines. So we don't have the opportunity to just say, let's try stuff. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, who cares about the money? We all have an obligation to make sure that we're taking care of our partners, our business partners who pay our bills, and to not expand or increase the cost to the passenger. So, no, I think it's a mindset, which is we don't have to have a complete business plan before we start. We like to build the plane as we're flying it. And you go through a gating, sort of a disciplined gating structure that says, should we try it and how far can we take it before we make the decision to go to the next phase? And that's the way that we look. I think you need an entrepreneurial mindset, and you can bring that into an organization and think entrepreneurially, and there's a lot more you can do if you just ask the question, why not, or what if? And that's how we start.
And that mindset gets you to, particularly to things like SAF, because you said, this isn't about regulation. You've got to earn your right to grow as an airport, as an industry, and you do that not by flying less, but by being greener in what you do. And I know solar is a huge part of your offer at the airport, but also SAF. Talk to me about that process, because we need to get to the tipping point where this isn't a nice to have, this is mandatory, this is, enough of the industry behind it to make it available.
Yeah, I was at the IATA World Sustainability Summit in Miami and saw a fact that there are 17,000 aircraft on order. They have a lifespan of 24 years. This is what we're flying with, and we don't need to limit flying. It's not a good idea. I'm saying that in Amsterdam. What is a good idea is to not reduce demand, but actually to make flying ubiquitous through cleaner technology, and you've got to start somewhere. So Deborah was talking about her cogen plant. We are 100% off the grid. We have built our own microgrid. We are powered in the terminals, on the airfield, at the hotel, with our own energy produced on site. Natural gas and solar. Okay, now we've got all this land. What else can we do? And why wouldn't we do this? So I think that, what was the question? I got lost.
It's about your journey to SAF. How have you got to the point where you are energy independent?
So I think the industry isn't close to meeting its 2030 goals. There's a lot of uncertainty. We're at the very, very beginning of this really new way of thinking about energy for something we all need, which is aviation to work. And we have land. We have a lot of energy infrastructure and energy innovation in our community. So put it to use at the airport. We can build refineries. We can export. We can blend. Why wouldn't we? And if we can be part of demonstrating that the airports have a role in helping the manufacturers, helping the airlines, then let's do it. And hope others join us.
Well, it's clear the airlines aren't creating it, so it falls to someone to do it.
Well, I think a couple of them are there. Listen, there's a lot of, everybody's trying to make the investments. Everybody's trying to figure out what's going to work. It takes all of us, and I think it takes all of us sharing that learning and figuring out, okay, it's how do we narrow that funnel so we can all agree on what the 5 things or the 5 technologies are that, get us to the next 5. But somebody's got to start, and that is happening. It's just we are also playing a part.
I want to talk some more about this on the panel in just a second, but I posed that question at the start of these sessions about different passengers going through airports with very different expectations, very different needs. 2 people who may look alike want a very different experience going through that airport. How do you tailor that experience?
Well, first of all, we're all different depending on who we travel with. When I'm traveling with my husband and my son, I am a different passenger than when I am traveling alone or when I'm traveling with a colleague. So I don't even think...
How would you describe the 2?
No, I'm not doing that. I can tell you when I'm more annoyed. I think that it's not even the different passengers. It's how you show up that day and what you need. I think we have an obligation, whether it's through design or through services, to make sure that we can meet everybody's needs and that there's. I am all for innovation. We are pushing technology. We are looking at AI. We have a technology roadmap for our new terminal. And I need to make sure people are involved, full stop. We all need to make sure that people can take care of people, because when people come to an airport, they're already at 10. Something important is on the other end, right? Either my bag is lost and I can't get home in time to put my kids to bed, or if I miss this flight, I won't make the interview, or something is important to that one person traveling. And when it goes wrong, they go to 11 fast. So how do we take care of them? And how do we make sure that it's not like we'll pick up the phone, wait 45 minutes? It's not fair. I think that can work for some of the more basic questions that need to get answered, and we absolutely should push on technological solutions, but we have got to make sure that people take care of people, and that the airport is a place that is the beginning of a journey or the end of a journey, and we are not the problem as part of it.
Christina, thank you for now. You're going to stay with us, so stay right there. And can I please welcome back... Oh, let's say thank you, first of all, to Christina. Thank you.